Hi, everybody. Welcome back to whatever the hell's going on here. The only video game podcast that ever exists. Don't fight me on that. We're the only one.
Definitely don't Google it.
Hell yeah, boy. What's up? No, everyone else is not doing what we're doing. We're not a rip-off culmination of Podquisition and Sardonicast. My name is Ethan.
My name is Ben.
My name is Andrew.
And I'm eating a pancake. My name's Elias.
Amazing. I'm playing Overwatch right now while we're recording because I'm a big cringe-ass nene kid. I just won my match because I had freaking like 3 triple killed an ult on Divas, so that's what's up. Anyway, we all played video games this past week, and let's talk about games in which have been played. I'll throw the ball up to the court and see who wants to take it first.
I finished Crash 4 this week.
Oh, nice. We can both talk about Crash 4 because I've been playing that too.
Yeah, how far have you gotten in it?
Not very far. I did the Tana level, the first one, yesterday.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's about 25% or something around there. Anyways, the game actually went along a bit, went on a bit longer than I thought it would. That's not a bad thing, but I will say that the final 5 levels might be just the hardest required levels I've ever played in a video game.
Wow.
I was okay. When I'm around people, I tend to be a lot more quiet and reserved. But when I'm by myself and I'm playing video games, yeah, I'm a bit of a sailor. I'm constantly just I can't do this. I'm F-bombs everywhere and just it was I was seriously on the verge of tears a couple times. I was just how do you do this? My kill counter was getting close to the triple digits.
Oh boy.
For a few levels there. I will say though, the second to last level, yes, very hard. I almost died 100 times, but it's actually I was still having fun throughout it, which I think is actually a pretty good selling point for it. Usually, if with most games, if I have to retry that much, I think it's pretty excessive, and I think the difficulty is too high. But to this game's credit, I was still having at least some amount of fun, even as I was struggling that much. And actually, the game actually has kind of a twist that I was probably I'm probably one of the only people that didn't see it coming. But yeah, to the game's credit, it actually did kind of surprise me, and despite how hard it was, I was having fun. So I would say out of the 3 Crash games I played, it's definitely the best one. Each subsequent Crash game is better than the last, and definitely a pretty high recommendation if you like the other Crash Bandicoot games.
Nice. I'll quickly get my Crash thoughts out of the way. So again, I'm not very far into it. Again, I've just done the first Tana level on the pirate ship. I enjoyed a lot of the Crash games when I was younger. I still have my PlayStation 1 copies of Crash 1, 2, and 3. I played a lot of Wrath of Cortex and Twin Sanity when I was younger. I even enjoyed those, which, I mean, I know they're not nearly as good as the original trilogy, but I still enjoyed them. Now that I'm older and I'm playing through Crash 4, I'm beginning to kind of go back and forth on whether or not I think Crash is my thing or not. Because what I'm playing, it's this is really well polished, it looks great, plays pretty well. There's some very questionable hitboxes for both you and your enemies that kind of get a little frustrating, but for the most part, I'm hey, this is pretty good. But the thing is I can't play more than 2 levels at a time before I just get frustrated or I'm just kind of burned out on it. So I can't just actually sit down and just play the game. And I think that might just be stemming through Crash maybe just not being my thing, which is kind of sad to say because I loved the original trilogy when I was younger. So I don't know. I mean, I'm still wanting to maybe jump back into it. For now, I've shelved it. I might come back to it later, but I don't know if I have much interest trying to pull through it right now. Maybe it just might have just been what other games I was playing during the week or whatever, and just tons of investment in other games and the like. And I guess I just didn't have the inspiration to really pull through on that one. But who knows? But I can still recognize it as a good game, but I'm not sure if it's for me, but I'll report back whenever I pick it back up again and give updates on what's going on with that.
Mm-hmm. It's doing what like modern games are doing now with like platforming games, where the thing with platforming games is that they don't evolve a ton from like how they play nowadays is pretty similar to how they played like 20 years ago. The main way that they like mix it up now is just like through like set pieces and like so like the backgrounds and like just like the environments are like some of the best I've ever seen in a platforming game. However, the movement in the game and the actual platforming itself, I don't think that like really holds a candle to like say like some of the newer Mario games. So sometimes the like the precision you have to do with some of the platforming is pretty insane. Like there's just like one part like later in the game where I wasn't dying, but I had to try like 30 times to get past this like little like platforming section just because of how like how precise it was. But funnily enough, it was like, but every time you fell, like you would fall into a platform. So I wasn't dying ever, but it still took me like 30 tries. So like the whole time I'm just like it's like the metaphor for like one step forward and you go 2 steps backward.
I see.
But like in a video game. So yeah, I think that this game is definitely like one of the prettiest and most like it has some of the most exciting like set pieces of any platforming game I've ever played. But in terms of like raw platforming though, I don't think it holds a candle to some of the better ones I played.
Okay. Well, cool. Have you played anything else this week, Andrew?
I mean, yes, but we'll get into that later.
All right. I guess since I already kind of gave a spiel about Crash 4, I might as well just quickly get my crap out of the way. I played 2 garbage games for a very brief amount of time this week, just for the sake of playing them. Well, one of them was the Space Jam game on the PlayStation 1. Mainly because there was an article for my work that was put in to write about it because I guess SEO is getting really big for Space Jam 2 right now, so trying to capitalize on Space Jam bullshit. So I played like an hour of that game and I wrote an article about it, and it sucks. It's a really shitty NBA Jam ripoff with Mario Party minigames to split the basketball gameplay. It's bad, don't play it. Not like anyone did anyway. And then I played, I did this to myself. I knew it was going to be bad, but downloaded it anyway, and I downloaded Tom Clancy's Elite Squad, which is a shitty mobile game. I don't know if, like, I'm not going to say I don't know, because you do know about Raid Shadow Legends and all that other bullshit, where it's those, like, really shitty, like, RPG game saying that with gigantic air quotes, where it's like you have like a line of characters and you just like tap on like attacks or whatever and attack do thing and you can auto play it and whatever and all this other stupid nonsense. It's one of those, except it's with like Tom Clancy game characters, so like characters nobody knows or gives a shit about, but they throw them in here into this game like as if like you do care. It's shit. It's bad. Everything is monetized to hell and back. It does that thing that these kind of games do where they make it a total cakewalk at the beginning. They give you tons of energy and resources and stuff to do a lot of stuff, but then eventually you just hit that grind wall where you're basically required to pay up for it. And it's not worth it because it's just so damn boring, uninspired, and it's basically just like a, ooh, me too, I want one of those too games, but it's Ubisoft, and but better yet, this game was produced and released during the time when Ubisoft was in the peak of their sexual harassment allegations and all sorts of that nonsense, and they threw in a bunch of anti-Black Lives Matter stuff into that opening cutscene of the game, and so when they were already dealing with so much controversy and stuff as it was already, Yeah.
Ouch.
It's big oof. But yeah, Ubisoft can go to hell. I hate them. The only other game I played this week that, I mean, because like I already talked about the little bit of Crash Bandicoot 4. Oh no, actually I did too. I'm gonna quickly talk about Mario Galaxy. I've been playing more of that, and I'm actually getting close to finishing it.
Awesome.
It's a good game. I like it quite a lot. I certainly like it more than 64 and Sunshine. It's still not perfect. I still have some issues with it. There's some really confusing control with it, where like I'm trying to get Mario to move forward, and instead he's just spinning in a circle, and he gets hit by something. I'm like, you dumbass, come on.
Is that like when you're like upside down on a planet?
Yes.
Yeah. That's definitely the most wonky part of the game.
Oh yeah.
If you ever play Galaxy 2, though, what they do is a neat little trick where most of the planets are bigger.
Okay.
In Galaxy, one of the biggest criticism of the first one is that most of the planetoids are pretty small, so you're going upside down a lot, and
you are.
And yeah, that can definitely be annoying to some people, but with Galaxy 2, they kind of rectify that with a lot more bigger planets, and you're just kind of like jumping between like these pretty big, sizable areas, and you don't go upside down nearly as often. So they do kind of rectify that in the sequel.
Nice. But yeah, no, it's still really good. There's some levels I've kind of played and I'm kind of not too hot on. Some of them are really good. I haven't been going through like grinding all the completion as I've been going through it, but I've been doing a lot of it. Usually by the time I unlock the next galaxy, I have enough stars to hit the Bowser fight in the area, so but I do the levels anyway. So I've done pretty much every single like base level of every galaxy in so far. So yeah, just some of the side quests and the stuff, like the side activities, I haven't really done a whole ton of them. I've done all the Luigi stars at this point too. I finished that yesterday. But yeah, no, it's really good. It's really creative, and it's got a lot of really fun, like, colorful things to it. Some of the platforming feels a bit kind of wonky in some places. The controls can sometimes feel a little off. And I also wish I could move my camera around more than just, like, certain scripted sequences and the like, because I can't see what's coming, and I keep getting hit by stupid bullshit, and I have to wait for the game camera to work with me. But other than that, it's really good. And
can you give me your favorite galaxy so far?
I knew you were going to ask this, and inside my head, I was like, because I know Andrew's going to ask this question, but I can't name one off the top of my head. And
can you do like a descriptive of it?
You know, to be fair, I actually quite like the platforming challenge of the candy one, that sub-galaxy that you find.
Ooh, yeah.
That one was pretty fun. I got stuck on the platforming bit where you have the laser in the moving platforms, and I kept getting hit by the laser and falling, but there were enough star bits. There were enough star bits in the area. I kept making up my 1-ups. So, but that one was pretty fun, besides that one little bit. Yeah. I don't know.
Pretty good overall.
Yeah, for sure. Last game I played, I caved to the pressure of the nerds. And
Join the cult.
Yeah, I joined the cult. I joined the Hollow Knight cult, and I finished Hollow Knight. I didn't get like the best ending or anything. I haven't done any of the expansion content or anything yet, but I played the base game, and I rolled credits. I got 69% completion done in there. Which was haha nice. Yeah,
enough, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna jump back into it, like, for sure. I'm taking a bit of a break because I pumped like my in-game counter was 21 hours and my Steam counter is like 25 hours, and that was within like a week and a half. So,
yeah, you really went through it.
I really did. I really plowed through that ending really fast. And the funny thing is, I only looked up like one thing, and that was where to put the storeroom key. I did get some guidance from friendos, the three of you guys, because we've been chatting, and like I got in a message from Elias like several days ago where I was playing Hollow Knight. He's like, I see you're playing Hollow Knight, stream it, can I watch? Like, it's really funny.
It's a fun game to watch, definitely.
It's a fun game, especially because once you've played it, you can never experience it for the first time again. So it's always fun to watch someone else experience for the first time, so you can kind of like relive. You're like, yes, I remember being an idiot.
Yeah, for sure. I really, really enjoyed it. It's so good. The platforming feels so good. The combat is great. The enemies and the enemy design is awesome. I really don't have many complaints with it. I guess like I'm not the biggest fan of the corpse run mechanics, like the Dark Souls-esque corpse running. That stuff's kind of eh. Some of the platforming challenges can be a little kind of absurd, like the hitboxes, essentially, like hitboxes on spikes are a bit wonky.
Some areas are wonky,
but they're like really minor complaints for the most part. There's really like no glaring flaw that I could think to it. It's just like a subset of like multiple micro complaints. They're just small things, but it overall makes to what I feel is an absolutely brilliant Metroidvania experience, and I'm really excited to dive into more of the Metroidvania genre and explore more to what it has, because I think this is only like my second 2D Metroidvania that I've finished so far. It was like that and Carrion from last year. Other than that, I've played a couple other games that have Metroidvania type design, like Control, which is basically a Metroidvania in terms of its map and ability upgrades and unlock new areas, but it's a third-person shooter.
As somebody who has played both Metroid and Hollow Knight, I would say that the biggest differences between the two is, well, Hollow Knight is longer, and the space between like each upgrade is quite a bit longer too. So you kind of go through a fair portion of the game without having a lot of the power-ups. With Metroid, though, it's a lot shorter, more compact, and you're just constantly getting upgrades. Like
Metroid.
In Super Metroid, there's like I think you can get upwards of like 250 missiles in the game, and you start off with 10, I think. and you get like 5 per upgrade, so you're just constantly getting those.
So for my Metroidvania plan, after I finished Hollow Knight, I was going back and forth because I have access to Super Metroid through the Switch Online emulation, but I additionally have Symphony of the Night on PlayStation 4, and so I was kind of just like going back and forth between which one I wanted to play. I'm probably gonna I was gonna say is like I'm probably gonna dive into Super Metroid first, and then I'll go to Symphony of the Night, because I mean I have to play the games that made the genre Metroidvania, like that's required. That's required playing. I have to do it. So but anyway,
I will say this with Super Metroid though, don't be afraid to look up stuff occasionally.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I'm if I'm stumped, like I'll definitely look it up. I mean, because that's what I did with games like Dark Souls, and I even did it with like Carrion and Control. Like I'm not someone who doesn't neglect outside help. I do if it spoils it, but if I'm told like, hey, just go this way, then I'm like, cool, I'll go that way, and then that's all I need. I'll figure everything else out on my own. So yeah, no, but Hollow Knight is awesome. That's like a 4.5 out of 5 game, super freaking close to like 5 stars. It's shit rocks. Thank you very much to my friendos that kept talking about it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until I finally was like, yeah, maybe I should play it and get in on the discussion.
It's a cold.
Because I certainly do not regret it. Yeah, I certainly don't regret it. Again, fantastic. Loved it.
I was gonna say
I'm really excited to go back into it again. 10. Oh, it did, yeah, because I updated my top 10 of the 8th generation, there are a couple games I neglected to put in there, and I shuffled some stuff around. Like I switched Doom Eternal to like go up higher because after I played that with a mouse and keyboard, I realized that's better than Doom 2016.
Oh yeah.
I switched around a couple other things, but yeah, Hollow Knight hit the top 10, and it very much deserves it. It is at number 10, but it freaking deserves its place there because shit is good. Yeah. Shit is good. That shit
also
good.
kind of to give context for like just how much of a cult status it has in our friend group. So we have like this chat where if there's like more than just us four, and I think like a good like 80 to 85% of us are playing Hollow Knight and enjoy it. I don't think anyone in our like big group chat has expressed like a dislike for it. Everyone has at least like somewhat enjoyed it.
Yeah,
which is crazy because like because I have read that like because I do know that Hollow Knight is not a game for everyone because of the fact that it's pretty vague compared to a lot of like other games, and
it's vague and it's hard.
It's hard, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool. Yeah, so it's cool that like a good chunk of like our friend group enjoys it and plays it. But yeah, it's getting to the point where it's like, man, what if like I'm pretty sure we are in a cult.
And we're all excited for Silksong, like Silksong.
Hey, at least we're not like the freaking like Hollow Knight Discord that we're just like completely freaking out over just like the smallest bit of news and then just like projecting and saying like, oh, is it out today when the Edge magazine thing came out, and then like spamming the chat, and it's just like, geez, calm down, people. It'll be out when it's out.
When it does come out though, like our Discord is probably just going to be talking about it for like
we're gonna have to create a Silksong chat specifically and a Silksong voice channel specifically. Like,
let's all play it simultaneously.
Just so we don't spam.
We're all gonna play it simultaneously or something stupid. It's just
that might make like a game discussion in this podcast. If like Silksong comes out, we all grab it at the same time.
I'm 100% certain that Silksong will be a topic for an entire episode. Yeah.
Oh,
it'll
for
be
sure.
the cornerstone of our friendship.
I'll definitely nab it when it comes out. Especially if they're like selling it at the kind of price that they sold Hollow Knight at.
I would imagine.
Yeah,
like holy shit, for $15? For $15? Holy moly.
$15 for your wallet.
Yeah, for $15 I put like almost 300 hours into the game.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You get your money's worth. And it's a good game at it too.
For sure. Yeah.
It's a steal.
I mean, it ain't got nothing on Rocket League, but you know.
Yeah, and you're like, what, 3,000 hours or whatever?
I think about 2,800 now, yeah.
And you bought it for like $20?
I got it gifted to me. I never bought the game. But yes, I bought it 3 other times for Smurfs, so I spent $60 and I still got my worth out of it.
Bought it again for Smurfs. Dear Lord. All right, Elias, outside of Rocket League, unless you got some cool Rocket League stuff to talk about, what did you play
I
this
got
week?
a 6-shot in Rocket League, as I always do, because I'm a god. No, I'm kidding. But yes, Rocket League. I was looking through my Steam, like, recently played, and I was like, oh, cool, Rocket League. Look down. Oh, that's the game for this week's discussion thing, so I'm not going to talk about that one yet. And then Sakura Gamer, and I was like, wow, this is a depressing list. I have a shitty game that's, what's it called? Not a light novel, visual novel.
Oh, yeah.
Shitty visual novel game.
This is that game that you were...
I think I'm like halfway through. What was that?
Oh, I was supposed to say, this is that game that you were playing while I was playing Hollow Knight, and you were like reading through some of that dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
And how overly verbose and stupid it was.
It's so bad. It's kind of fun to like just watch the train wreck. So it's not like I'm not having fun, because I already spent 2.5 hours apparently according to Steam on it. So like I'm doing it, and it's not the worst thing in the world. But like, it's just so bad. But yeah, and then Rocket League. A game that didn't make this list for some reason is the one that I refunded, so I assume that's why.
Yes.
You were here for this too. Sniper Ghost Warrior 3. Shit game, shit mechanics, god awful. It makes me so sad because the first Ghost Warrior game was actually really sick. I've always been a fan of sniping stuff, so like the Sniper Elite series is one of my favorites by far. Specifically number 2, Sniper Elite V2. That one's a good one. But I don't know. This was just so shockingly disappointing, and like right off the bat, I had like 4 or 5 glitches that like wouldn't let me progress, or the game just didn't like, it was supposed to go through the tutorial and it just didn't pull up the tutorial for some reason. So I had to like kill myself and reset it to be like, oh, there's a tutorial, cool. So let's just say probably within I think 40 minutes I refunded that game.
Yeah, I witnessed in real time you boot up the game, you begin to play it, you complaining about it. Because you were like, oh yeah, and then get this started. And it's like, I heard Ghost Warrior 3 is like absolute trash. I heard it was terrible. And you're like, well, we'll see. And then like 20 minutes later, you're like, this is awful. And like, I listened to you refund it in real time and everything. I watched you go through the 5 stages of grief while I was playing Hollow Knight.
Yeah, so there was those. And then I don't know why this isn't on there, because I've put 4 hours already into this game. Assetto Corsa should be on my recently played list. It's not. Assetto Corsa, fantastic game in terms of like physics and car control and stuff. I've always been a fan of racing games. And on my old PS2, which I actually have a PS2 here, I found my racing wheel and I was wanting to play some racing games. My racing wheel doesn't work. So I ordered a new one. It should be coming in today.
Yay!
But the fact that Assetto Corsa feels so good even with the controller should already speak to how good the physics are for that game. But I'm excited to have that Logitech steering wheel. It was not a great steering wheel, but it'll be something, you know. Do some sick drifts. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of reviews and people. I was doing so much research because I haven't been in the racing sim like following for a long time. So getting back into like, oh, they have like direct drive wheels now, and like, oh god, people spend like $2,000 on a racing sim setup. Like before, it was like, oh, you spent $500, and it's like that's a racing sim setup. Nowadays, it's like, oh, you get the motion D-box chair like the ones they use at the theaters, but like modded so it functions even better for the game. And then you have like literally an actual steering wheel quality thing with a direct drive that's just this gear that spins your wheel exactly as it would for a real car. And then you have like these full on like cage setups, and I'm like, what the hell are people doing? I want it, but yeah, I don't know. Racing games have always had a place in my heart. Hence Rocket League. I think that's why I love Rocket League so much. But yeah, Assetto Corsa. If you haven't tried it, I wonder if it's still on sale on Steam. They had the whole like deluxe full edition of every single like DLC for Assetto Corsa, which was like supposed to be $80 for $8. So of course I got that. It's been fun to play with that. Let me double check. I mean, it's not going to matter right now. Yeah, it's on sale for $3 right now, $3.99 if you just want the base game. It's 80% off. Like, if anyone wants to try a good racing sim, Assetto Corsa, for sure.
I've never been a racing sim kind of guy. I've always preferred my arcade, like my Forza Horizon compared to Forza Motorsports, that sort of thing. I'm more into that than the sim. Although I can certainly appreciate the racing sims for what they are. They're just not for me.
No, I get that, and I know it's not for everyone. So, and I mean, I love like Need for Speed. Dude, Need for Speed. Oh, there's some old Need for Speed games that I grew up on, and I loved those so much. But I don't know, the racing sims are just like this new level of like, oh, if I fuck up this corner, I'm fucked. You know, it's just like, ooh, I'm slipping.
You can't just bounce back or something like it's twisted.
No. You smack the wall and it's like, oh, you broke your engine. The right wheel is flat now, and good luck. And it's like, frick. So I don't know, a lot of fun. But yeah, this game released apparently in 2014, and it still holds up, and like it looks pretty dang good. So, woo, good game. Would recommend if anyone likes racing out there. Would recommend. And then I should probably note I bought a bunch of games because of the Steam sale, so we'll see. I should have some stuff on Tales of Vesperia. I need to get back into Doom Eternal. I have like 2 other visual novels I'm playing. I've had a visual novel kick lately. A friend of mine recommended this one that's not even on Steam. You have to like go download it from their website. It's called Katawa Shoujo. That thing has some excellent writing. I'm playing it in Japanese. But excellent writing. It started off with a twist where like the very beginning of the game, I played for like 30 minutes just real quick just to kind of see what it was about. The very beginning of the game starts off with you like getting a note from this girl in your school, and she's like, oh, can you meet me outside at here? And he's like, okay, cool. So he goes like this park. It's the middle of winter. You go there, start talking to her, and like in the middle of it, you basically start having a stroke, and you end up in the hospital, and like you wake up from like basically a mini coma a couple weeks later. And it's like, what the hell is happening? So I'm excited to see where that goes. But
anime 28 days later.
Pretty much. So, and then I started playing Osu again, my rhythm game. That's another like
Nerd.
genre that I've loved, dude. Osu, I forgot about that. I've been playing games that are not on Steam. There you go, Osu. If anyone wants to try the best rhythm game to have ever existed, Osu.
I'll stick to Guitar Hero.
Beat Saber.
Guitar Hero is good. Beat Saber, I have so many complaints with Beat Saber, but I'm not talking about that. Anyway, continue.
All right. I guess that does that for Elias, I suppose.
Yeah, that's all my stuff.
All right. Ian, what play?
All right.
What do?
Let me check out my recently played. I guess I'll start off with did I talk about Flower last time?
I think you mentioned it, but I don't think you really
I mentioned it. Oh, because I haven't finished it. But I'm probably gonna I might do that today since it's Sunday and I don't have anything to do. So I might just finish that today. So the other games I played, I did get Assetto Corsa as well because my dad has actually been talking about like sim stuff a lot, and so I bought Assetto Corsa and we both played it in VR and stuff like that. So it was kind of cool, I guess.
I should bring my wheel over so you guys can do it with the wheel.
Ooh, that would be pretty cool, actually. That is an idea.
I will shut up now because I want to do it in VR too. I want to experience that in VR. Anyway, continue.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean it's a racing sim. Me and my dad tried drifting and stuff like that, and I was able to catch on to it a little faster than he was, just because I have more experience in games and stuff. And we were playing on an Xbox controller, and when I was turning, I was like trying to like just barely like touch the analog stick, but my dad was like slamming it against the edges, so of course he was spinning out all the time. But that was fun to play like a game with my dad though, so that was pretty cool. I played also a bit of BeamNG Drive because I thought that you could like I tried modding it and stuff like that. But then I got bored because I already put like 11 hours into it once I like initially got it. That was like a long time ago. And yeah, cargo crash. It looked cool. Yeah.
Gameplay.
Gameplay. And then I think we were just like talking, and then someone mentioned Ghost Runner, and so I decided to try the demo. And that was I think like 2 nights ago.
It was me.
And
yeah.
And so Ghost Runner is pretty cool. It's more difficult than I was expecting. I had 26 deaths on the first like intro level, because it gives you like a level summary at the end of every level. But like it's a cyberpunk style game. Like it's in the cyberpunk genre. You play as like this, I think you're a robot that has a sword, and you run very fast and you cut people up with your sword. And it's pretty much like parkour robot ninja the game. So it goes very fast, and it kind of functions similarly to Super Hot in the fact that you get like a lot of checkpoints, and you like respawn immediately like right after you die, so you could just keep trying over and over again until you get it. So death isn't all that punishing. The challenge lies in completing the different runs, like checkpoint after checkpoint, and then getting to the end in like a decent amount of time, I think. So yeah, and I guess it's story based, so there's like a whole story going on where you're like a ghost runner. You're apparently like this peacekeeper of the old days or something like that, and you just woke up from coma, I'm guessing, and stuff's going down. I don't know. It's pretty vague with the demo, but I might get it sometime in the future if it goes on sale. The aesthetic's really cool, and I like the cyberpunk style music. It's pretty cool. And slashing people up at high speed's really fun. So yeah, I would recommend Ghost Runner. But it is difficult though. I will say that. And then it shows Dark Souls 3 on here, but all I did with that was I just jumped in and looked at what level my character was and then quit the game. Hades was the big one that I played a lot of this week, aside from Breath of the Wild. I already talked about Breath of the Wild. But Hades, I heard a lot about it. It like won Game of the Year from multiple different sources. And I one of my friends plays it quite frequently, mostly because it's a roguelike, and he's really into roguelikes. I haven't really been into roguelikes before, but Hades might make me get into them. I did play a bit of Dead Cells earlier and was like, okay, whatever. But Hades is a ton of fun. Not only is like the voice acting incredible and the story is really interesting, but like the art style is really cool. I like the isometric like viewpoint. I'm probably going to play Transistor after it because it's by the same people.
Transistor's so good. Anyway,
yeah, so it's by the same people. Supergiant, I believe, is their name. And yeah, so the idea is that, you know, like death is like a central function of the game. You go and play through the game and you beat up enemies and stuff until you die, and then you restart from the beginning. And people, and like for me, when I was originally like introduced to that idea, I thought it was like, oh, that's terrible. You have to restart every single time. But then I realized like if you don't die, you can beat the entire like gauntlet in like 20 minutes. So it's like, okay, so in and of itself, it's not a very long game. It just takes a long time to build up the skill and power to get to the end point. So yeah. I've unlocked all the weapons at this point. I've found that the fist weapons are some of my favorites. And yeah, so it's really fun. I like it. Like every time you go through, you get a different run every time because it's randomly generated, and you get different skills and power ups every time. And then like every time you die, you respawn, and then you could talk to everyone, progress the story, and then you go to your room, and then there's this mirror, and you can look in the mirror, and you can permanently like power up yourself for future runs, and that's how you like get consistently more powerful. So yeah, I think so far it's an 8 out of 10 for me. I will try to finish it and see what I think after it, but so far I'm really enjoying it. Nice. And yeah, that's pretty much all that I played because I already talked a lot about Breath of the Wild. Crysis 2 is on my recently played, but I didn't really do much of that. I guess played like 3 checkpoints and then quit because I was trying to show my friend like the graphics on it. So yeah. Yeah. Trying to show that if you put it on, it's an older game, but if you put it on like I think just regular high, it starts having issues. So if that says anything about the Crysis games.
Yeah. That's just the Cry engine in general.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so that's me.
Awesome. All right. So with that, Andrew recommended a game for all of us to give a try out. Last week. I sure did. You sure did. Andrew, introduce their game in which you recommended.
All right. It's called Cave Story. It is widely regarded as sort of like the original indie game, at least the first like kind of modern indie game where it's like either solo developed or a very small group of people developing it, released online, and there were some like solo developed games for like the Atari or whatever, but they were making it for Atari. This is widely considered to be a very influential game and a piece of gaming history. That being said, with most games that are like of history, usually that comes with the caveat of them being somewhat poorly designed. Personally, this game is very inspirational to me, and I do like it for the most part. I definitely acknowledge its flaws, but boy, I was not expecting you guys to have like such a visceral like negative reaction initially to it.
Yeah,
you guys all had some semblance of like what I expected you to like think about it, but to the next extreme. I was expecting Ethan to not like it very much, but I was expecting you at least to finish it. I was wrong. I was expecting Elias to not like the gameplay that much, but think that like the tone and atmosphere was at least some like interesting. We'll get into this. We'll get into this, but initially, because we're playing it here in winter, the game automatically gave you the seasonal look. So like everybody's like wearing like winter outfits. And like the main character, who's usually a robot, is like a reindeer, and
that's what he was.
Yeah,
I thought he was a dog. That does not come off as a reindeer. That was the word. Okay, anyway, continue. You can see my reaction already. I did not enjoy that at all.
Yeah. I was expecting. When I booted up and like the winter aesthetic was on, I'm like, oh, how charming! Like I played it like Normally,
God, I don't know how
initially,
you got through
so-
that. That was awful. I hate that aesthetic. So I also just hate Christmas. So that's probably why. But like,
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, so I'm like, hey,
So
like, did you guys
funny.
notice like the winter aesthetic? And Liza's like, yeah, I hate it. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, I was actually, when I first started playing the game, I was actually a tad bit confused on the aesthetics of it. I was like, I didn't know it was like a wintry type game, like a Christmas game or whatever.
Oh man,
But then
didn't realize- yeah.
when I was finagling around with the settings, because I tried to get a controller paired up, and I had a hell of a time actually trying to get a controller paired in the game. But I was digging around in the settings, and I saw that there was like the holiday like thing, and I was like, oh, what? I turned it off, and I was like, oh, okay, now it just kind of like looks like a game and not like a Hallmark Christmas card pixelated to hell.
Yeah, I don't get why they did that. But whatever. Anyways, you guys were all playing Cave Story Plus, which is a remake of the original game. The original game was free. It came out in 2004. Cave Story Plus, it was bought out by a company called Nicholas, and they released it for profit in like 2013 with very slight alterations, just some improved character models, and they also changed the music a little bit. I heard that you guys thought that the music was overly loud and kind of obnoxious.
Oh, it's so loud.
Yeah, that is
it
not the
wasn't
original
loud,
soundtrack.
but-
The original soundtrack is a lot more subdued.
I thought it was fine.
personally.
Yeah, it wasn't loud.
Yeah.
I have other complaints about it, but anyway, continue.
I thought the game itself started off really loud, so I just had to turn down my volume
Yeah.
in comparison
Yeah.
to other games.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
initial like area with like with all the eggs and all the like elephants running around. That song is kind of like the beeping it does, like it's kind of obnoxious, to be honest. But I played the original version. You can do that through Cave Story Plus with the original soundtrack.
Mhm. Yeah, you
And
can change
it does
that.
not have the same problem. It's a lot more subdued. It's a lot. I actually like listened to the whole soundtrack while I was working the other day, and yeah, I was never annoyed by it. I actually kind of found it somewhat soothing. I do have kind of an affinity for 16-bit music, so maybe I'm a bit biased there, but I personally find the soundtrack, at least originally, to be pretty nice.
I am actually with you on that one because as much as I had a problem with some like the mechanics and stuff, I did enjoy the music. I thought it was pretty cool. So
Yeah. Here I'll so yeah, like I said, I do find this game to be good overall. And I think I'll like wrap around at the end and kind of give you guys like my personal feelings towards it. But I'm sure you guys are all like on the edge of your seats, like waiting to like rip it a new one. So
Yeah, should we start off with the worst and go up a little bit from there, or should we start with?
I think worse, and then I'll try and like maybe turn it around and like show you like why I respect it, and maybe you guys can come out with a new viewpoint. But yeah, you go ahead and like get all your
start with
issues out
Ethan
of the
then,
way.
I guess I don't want to throw myself to first, but I didn't even have the patience.
If you want,
finish
I can
it,
go
so
first. If you want,
mine will be really short. So I didn't even
Okay.
have the patience to finish it. This very slippery controls, and just how it overall felt. I just did not like the game feel, how it looked, nor its design philosophies of precision platforming with you feeling like you're on ice skates. I don't know. I really didn't like it. It was really loud, kind of annoying. I got far more frustrated with it within like the 3 hours I played it more than anything else, and it took me forever just to get to like simple checkpoints and whatever. It's okay, like it's a hard game or whatever. I play hard games. I finished Hollow Knight. I've played all the Dark Souls games. I like hard games, but yeah, this was just very patience testing, very annoying. Did not like it. But before I had like a Grease situation where I just, like went monkey mode and just, blew up, I decided, I'm just not going to force myself to, play through this, even if it's short. I just don't care. I see where the admiration for it stands, because, again, for a solo-made project and for being a progenitor to what was to come, it's certainly admirable on those qualities, but the game itself I feel is not good. I'm gonna reiterate a point in which I said when I was talking about Super Mario 64. Just because you're the predecessor to something does not make you the best at something, and that's how I feel about Cave Story as well. I don't think I will ever actually finish it though, and I'm more than okay with that. And I played the Epic Games version of it because they gave it out for free on the Epic Games Store. So I was like, hey, free game. So it's like, I didn't pay any money for it or anything. So, I'm not about to have like a meltdown or whatever over it. It's a bad game, but it's, I see where the admiration comes for it, and I got it for free anyway, so, who am I to bitch? Anyway, Elias.
Okay, I'm going to break it into two sections, or I guess 3 sections, and then the positive and the negative, obviously. I'm starting with the negatives first on each of the 3 sections. 1, music. That's the important thing to me about any game. Music is always important. So for the music, okay, here's my issue with this game. This is the only video game I think I've ever played where I sat there thinking, this music would be better not in the game and just in like its own standalone album. And I've never thought that for any soundtrack ever.
Interesting.
Because the music's not bad. I'm not going to say it's like bad. Objectively, like, and music theory wise and like how everything's created, it sounds really good. And a lot of the songs were enjoyable. Even like the Beat Boop one, I actually really enjoyed that song. But there was no main theme. There was no melody. It didn't feel like there was any specific characteristics that were designed to flesh out or add anything to each of the levels. And that was something that like really bugged me the whole time. Aside from the Christmas theme, I think the Christmas theme started me off bad as well. But yeah, it was, I don't know. It was just not. I guess I can sum up my entire thing with the game as there was no character to it. Like, yeah, it had character, quote unquote, but it didn't ever feel like it glued or meshed together all the way through, and I'll explain that more later. But yeah, the music was a big part of that. Like, each level was just, hey, cool beep beep boop song. Cool. It didn't really feel like, oh, this is the song for this level. I don't remember any. I have a fantastic memory when it comes to music. I don't remember a single freaking theme from that game. Besides, I think like just the little main like rabbit section theme, or like the main home, like the first area you get to. I forgot what it was called. But like that was the only one that I remembered because I heard it so freaking often, because I got stuck there at the beginning for a while because I'm like, oh, there's snow everywhere and I hate this. But yeah, pretty much. So that's my gripe with the music. It was really good as a standalone thing, but it didn't make any sense for the game. Gameplay wise was the second one. The pistol, the whatever, the star, what was it called?
Polar Star.
The Polar Star, thank you. The Polar Star, best gun in the game. The only one that actually felt usable. The rocket launcher was just weird. I really enjoyed there was a lot of good ideas with the gameplay, in my opinion. I liked the like increased, what's it called?
The leveling mechanic.
The leveling mechanic was interesting. I didn't like when it got to the max level thing, because it felt like, oh, if I'm max level, that should be a buffer so that when I get hit, it stays at level 3, right? But no, I think if I remember correctly, it was you got hit at max and it set you to level 2, but like right at the edge of level 2, and I was like, well, what's the point? Just give me 3. That's the max level, and it just says 3 max, and then I get hit and it goes down to 2. Don't give me this false hope of, oh, I filled up the entire bar for level 3, and because I filled up the entire bar, I get punished because I filled it up.
Wait, what?
Right? Well, no, because
because
if you fill up
hit?
Yeah.
Oh,
if you get
okay.
hit with max level, it sets you back to level 2, and like right at the base, right before you're gonna get back to level 3.
That's with specific weapons. Like the knife weapon. That is the case with that one, but with other weapons, it's a bit more gradual.
Maybe I saw it wrong, but I swear that's what it did. But maybe I'm wrong then. But yeah. Anyway, it was an interesting mechanic for sure. But that was the one I was like, man. And then, like Ethan said, the game was just slippery, slidey all over the place. And I think Hollow Knight has an influence in that, because that game was so like influential to, especially with Ethan too. He had, I think, was this before or after he started playing Hollow Knight? They played Cave Story.
It was like basically at the same time.
At the same time, okay. because I think that might have influenced like the extra like hatred towards the slippery mechanic. Because for me, it was like, oh, why the hell would I want to play a slippery mechanic game when Hollow Knight exists? And there's much better platforming experiences than this slippery, slidey, kind of clunky. The only time it felt good is if you went fast through a section. So like speedrunning that game might be fun if I were to care enough to learn, how to speedrun that. Yeah. Because then you can abuse the slippery mechanic to just like slide through levels, basically. It was that like potent of a slide that you can just slide through sections, it felt like.
Okay.
But gameplay besides or not besides, but like each level design along with the gameplay didn't feel like each level had a thing. It was like each level, had a new theme and a new like design to it, but it didn't feel like a new level. It just felt like, oh, cool. It's the same thing with a reskin. I'm doing the same thing and it's not fun. Like, and I understand like each level is going to be the same thing in a platformer, but like, it just, I don't know how to describe it. It just felt like there was nothing new, nothing felt like, what's the word?
Well, like in a lot of platforming games, like with each new level, there's like some like sort of new mechanic that's introduced. With Cave Story, the closer you get to that, just weapon upgrades throughout the game, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say like the weapon stuff deals with that, even in other games. But it felt like here's the word. No level had any specific identity.
Okay.
And so I went to the next level. I'm like, cool, new enemies and a new weapon, but like, and a new like skin over it. But it just never felt any different, which was. It's a weird complaint to make, I know, and I know I'm not describing my problem with it very well either. But yeah, I don't know. It just felt so devoid of any identity per level. My favorite levels were the final boss levels at the very end. That was fun. If the game was that for most of it, I would have had so much more fun because that's when it like actually was more of a challenge. Some of the bosses were just these cop out like I don't know, just...
Yeah, like the initial bosses, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the initial bosses. Some of the later ones were a little bit better, yeah. Some were just a little too gimmicky. And then some of them paired with the sliding mechanics of the character just made it really hard to play. I think I barely passed one of them. It was like the little, like... It wasn't a drill, but the machine one that, like, moves back and forth.
Yeah, Weapon X.
I barely passed that one, but, like... I don't know, you try to do anything and it was just like sliding all over the place and I just couldn't stay where I wanted to stay, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, story-wise, Andrew promised much and he said, oh, it picks up at the level 3 or whatever. It didn't really feel like it picked up, and I think I played the last part of the game with another friend of mine and he was watching, and he immediately like picked out a bunch of complaints from like a story standpoint. Okay. And, I was explaining, like, what had happened and why, the quote-unquote why as to we got here. And we were talking about, like, the actual story and everything. And we came to the conclusion that you just kind of do things to do things, and there's not really a reason. Like, there's a reason, right? Oh, so-and-so did this. But it doesn't really follow too much of a logical path for the most part. And it does end up just feeling like, oh, you just do things to do things. Plot device leads to plot device. It doesn't really feel like I have a initiative, and it gets to a point. I think I'll let Ben clarify on the first ending he got. There's a bunch of spots where it's like, oh, cool, plot device, and you can just avoid the plot device, and by avoiding the plot device, you get a kind of crappy ending. And it's like, wow. So because I choose something different than the plot device, I don't get to do anything. So I don't know.
You mean like the jetpack, or?
No, not the jetpack. The like I said, I'll let Ben explain, because Ben got the coward ending, right, the first time you said?
Well, yeah. Well, when the guy asks if you want to escape with him, then if you just say yes or no to that.
Yeah. I don't know. It just felt so like I don't know. It just wasn't fun. So I think I gave my overall scoring to you guys. It was like a 3, maybe a 4. And the 3 points are literally only 4. The music sounds good, just not in the game. The gameplay was fun, just not in the game. And then some of the aesthetic, once I took off the what's it called, the Christmas thing, like some areas looked kind of nice, so like the aesthetic was okay. So that's like the last point.
You like the final boss gauntlet too?
And the final boss gauntlet, that's where I was like, okay, there we go, the final boss gauntlet is the point. And then like that maybe 4 is for the aesthetic, because it wasn't that that great. And I'm also personally not a big fan of like the 16-bit games, so that could be playing a bit of a bias in there.
Yeah, perhaps. But
Because I mean, like
that's valid.
Undertale, even, right?
That's like 8-bit.
Apparently like, I mean, it's 8-bit, yeah, but still, it's the same like pixely, art style in my brain. World-renowned game, fantastic. I couldn't really get into it. I watched people play it, but I myself didn't like playing it just because I didn't like looking at it. This game kind of fit into that area. It looked better for sure than Undertale does, but it's just, I don't know. I just didn't like it.
That's fine, man. There's definitely some of those points that I disagree with, but I can get into that later. But like at the same time, like all of that is like valid. Like I wouldn't. There's nothing there. I was like, I think you're wrong there. Like it's more like it's just like, to each their own.
Just
and
personal
And
preferences.
I get that. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, Ben.
Yeah. So I actually like decently enjoyed it. It's not my favorite game, obviously, and it's definitely not like my favorite, like of its kind, like in terms of like 8-bit or 16-bit indie platformers, or just indie games in general. Because whereas I don't really tend to play a lot of games with the pixel art style, I did absolutely adore Undertale. So I guess if the game is good on its own merit, then I really don't care about the graphics. But Cave Story, the story itself, I didn't have too much of an issue with. I guess like it was there because it was there to move along the gameplay, and that's kind of what I just like assumed, like that was what it was for, that it wasn't trying to tell like a narrative masterpiece or anything like that. Because going in, I did know that it was like a 2D platformer shooter thing, so I was prepared for most of the focus of the game's development to be poured into that. But I enjoyed the story for what it was. The coward ending was kind of lame, because like I was expecting at least like some other alternative thing to happen after I said yes, but all it said was just like, oh, we take off on the flying lizard thing or the dragon, and then we just let everyone else die, and then we just live in hiding or something like that.
Like he included that in the game. I think it's like not supposed to be taken seriously. Like it's like, hey, you want to escape with me? And like I think most players would just be like, no, of course not. I want to stop. I want to save the day. But like I guess that's just like something that's like in the editing process. Like, why not just take that out? It's not like it really adds anything.
Yeah, and
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and like for me, like I was kind of like every other thing in the game I answered yes to move it along. So I just assumed that like that was the direction it wanted me to go, is just to say yes to him, and then it just ended the game off like really anticlimactically, and I was like, oh, as I was supposed to say no that time, and so I was like, oh, okay, sure. So I went back and then I played the ending and stuff like that, and I agree with everyone else by like maybe except for you, Andrew, but with everyone with Elias and Ethan, where the physics of the game were annoying, coming from, especially, I mean, for me being probably one of the bigger Hollow Knight geeks in here, just like being used to that like type of like precise platforming, and then given the same like precise platforming challenges in Cave Story, but with like a much looser, more slidey like move set. Like it was honestly really frustrating for me. And it didn't get like that bad until like the final cave. And the final cave I got stuck on for about an hour because of the slippery mechanics, and because of the fact that it dropped all my weapons down to level 1.
Yeah, it did for me too. I've totally forgot about that gameplay mechanic. And that is kind of weird.
Oh,
yeah, for sure.
I was gonna talk. Wait, I forgot about that. Now you brought that up. I didn't get that. It didn't reset my weapons, and I just like breezed through that section. I don't know why.
Okay, this game is.
Yeah, that confuses me.
Yeah. Because there was another thing. Because I played it in Japanese, but we found out that only the Switch port you can carry all the dogs in, and like no other port you can. So I thought that was stupid as well.
But, yeah, it was. That's weird.
I don't know, this game is just so weird.
Yeah, there's so many different versions. It seems like that I didn't realize existed, and like each one has like these like weird differences. Like in this one part, where you're in the sand area, and you got to get these dogs back to this lady. And in the in the version I play, you can stack up all the dogs on top of each other, and it's super cute. You have like this dog stack, and it's and it's a lot more efficient game design, and it's cute, and adds some charm to the game. And I guess you guys weren't able to do that in your versions. Yeah,
nope. We have to carry them one at a time.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, there's so many like weird like little differences like that, and that's like one of my favorite segments of the game because I think it's like cute and funny and charming. But and you guys just didn't get it. So like
yeah, we didn't get it.
Yeah, it's weird. But yeah. Anyways, continue.
Yeah. So yeah, and then level design I thought was like I'm probably in what's the word? I'm the opposite, I guess, of Elias in terms of the level design. I thought it was I could definitely see like the different themes in each level. And they were strange, but I could see them. For example, like the first egg level was very interesting. Because I don't know, it's just like a weird like laboratory, and then I had like all these like giant speckled like dragon eggs and stuff like that. And it was like a straight shot to the end, so it was interesting. I gotta say my favorite area was the same as Elias's, though. It was the boss gauntlet at the end, especially because it was the breather after the final cave.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to the final cave though, like there was just like spikes everywhere. There's enemies everywhere and then the bats could fly through the ground and stuff like that. And there was no save points in between. And yeah, so every time like I died, it was just super frustrating, and it felt like a huge difficulty spike because the rest of the game wasn't super difficult, but all of a sudden right there, it felt like I was trying to play like Super Meat Boy or something like that. Like it was just like rage levels of like annoying, like hard.
Gotta say, I'm impressed that you're able to get past it with like none of the upgraded equipment, and yeah, all of your stuff gets reset to 1. And yeah, like, that's not the case with me, and I'll get into that during my spiel. But like, yeah, I must say, impressive that you're able to do that with all those limitations.
But yeah, I eventually got through it, and then especially like there's the mini boss like in the middle of it, which was annoying because I eventually got used to the mini boss because I went through it so many times. I just had his like movements down to a T. So he didn't become an issue like, you know, after like the 10th time I died. But then you get out of it, and then you have to fight 2 corrupted Mimiga or whatever they're called. And those guys have a lot of life, and the one is like super fast and the other one shoots like a bunch of projectiles. And the instant I got out of the cave, I was like, oh, I did it. And then I just got killed by one of those guys, and I was like, are you kidding me?
Wait, did you say there was a mini boss in that final like level?
Yeah, like a pig.
It was like a pig. Yeah.
Did you not have that, Elias?
No. I told you I breezed
through
that section. There was nothing wrong with that section. That was like the funnest like level because my friend who was watching with me, it was like I finished that section in like a minute, and he's like, "Wait, that was a level?" And I'm like, "I guess." I thought it was like a transition point. That's all I thought it was. Because it was so short for me.
Yeah, that really confuses me because
there was
you had it so easy.
There was a pig.
Yeah, there was like a pig troll boss thing that like jumped and shot like blades and stuff.
No, there wasn't.
In my first playthrough, I don't remember the pig either.
I must have triggered something.
Yeah, I played the pig this time too.
Items you can pick up or something, or like.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what I did.
Maybe this game has a lot of different like pathways that I just don't know about. I thought it was pretty linear, but I guess not.
I didn't, I didn't get the pig, and I didn't reset my weapons on that one. So it was like a breeze walking through that section.
Huh.
I don't know what I did then, because I was even on easy mode. So if that was like a challenge mode thing, I don't even know what, like, I was on easy mode, and if that was like a thing that applied to a harder difficulty, then I don't know.
Elias, because did you do the whole thing with like Sue's mom, and like she like builds a rocket for you?
Yeah.
Like you fly up through those blocks, and then you go into the final cave. That's all the same to you?
Yeah. So like that part pissed me off actually. Sue's mom, because like the whole get the generator, and then I got it to her. She's like, oh, it needs a fucking battery. And I'm like, okay. And then I was like, where do I get the battery? And then I finally I had to look up a guide because I was just in the stupidest spot. And then I figured the battery, and then she's like, okay, cool. I'm just resting my bed or whatever. It was so dumb. I got lost. That was the longest section for me. I hated that level. Anyway.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of fence quests in this game. but yeah.
Yeah, they were kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, it was, yeah. So I guess my experience was I didn't hate it, but I also didn't love it. I don't think I would play it again, and I don't think I would go for the true ending because of the fact that I don't like the platforming. And I went and watched what like the true ending entailed, and there was like some pretty intense platforming. And so I don't know. I wouldn't go for the true ending. I was satisfied with what I got. But yeah, I gave it like I think like a 2.5 out of 5.
Like, middling,
yeah, middling. It was not fantastic, but also not terrible for me.
You know,
I wouldn't play it again, I don't think, but it was fun while it lasted.
Do you guys see
do
you guys see like the influence that it had at the very least? Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, the Mimigas were a huge inspiration to like Toriel and Azrael and stuff like that for Undertale.
Mm-hmm. And its
they were almost like the same creature almost.
Its tone and aesthetic is like definitely played a huge part in like indie game development and and showing that even like solo developers can make games like this and yeah, definitely influential.
So it's inspirational for sure because I can see what the inspirational point, because I mean we're not right now we're trying to make a game and it's tough, but like knowing that people have done it solo before, you know, it just gives it gives like a level of like, oh, then if we just keep at it, then we can do it too. So
yeah, for sure.
I mean, obviously we're not going to make like another like indie indie classic, like indie Hallmark, or something like that. It's
we might,
but
who knows?
Yeah,
yeah, you never know. I was gonna say,
I just do like Among Us, where like re-release it, and then like 2 years later, for some reason, it becomes like insanely popular.
Okay, the next Among Us. What were you saying, Elias? We kind of interrupted you.
Sorry, I was gonna say I might have to replay Cave Story only for the fact that I got Curly's panties and I have to play as Curly. I forgot that I got that little secret Easter egg.
Yeah.
So I have to do that.
Yeah. There's this female character in the game named Curly, who she has a house in the game, and it is possible to find her panties in the house, and then you unlock a mode where you get to play as her, which I think is pretty funny. So yeah, okay. So you guys got your spiel done, you think?
Yeah.
Okay. I actually played this game initially for my first time, like pretty soon after I played Hollow Knight. Similar to you guys. But here's the thing: I have played a ton of retro, like Nintendo, like Mario games, like Mario Brothers 3, Mario World, and like Donkey Kong Country, a bunch of games like that. So like slippery controls and platformers, I am just incredibly used to. Like when you guys were like, "Wow, the slip in this game is like insane," I'm like, "Really?" Like it feels, I felt like right at home with it. Like I'm just so used to that kind of thing. So I'm definitely like biased in that on that front. So I will say that Cave Story isn't like a great like first time like retro platformer. Like I'd only really recommend it to people that have played like Mario Brothers 3 and like World like when they were kids. But yeah, so for me like the controls don't bother me that much. I think the weapon system is like incredibly like just it's like unique for one thing. I can't think of any other games that quite like it. And I find it like pretty fun to like you complained earlier about how like when you get hit to like it sends you back down to like previous levels, but for me it's like that risk versus reward of like should I like continue to like pile damage on this enemy or should I back off so I can preserve my health and my power. Like I personally find that dichotomy to be pretty fun in the game. I played through it a few times, and each time I play it, it's a little bit funner than the last time because I can basically like speedrun it at this point, and it's a lot of fun to speedrun, to be honest. Like you're like going through like each boss like on your first try, and like going through like each level and knowing where exactly to go. I think it's actually it feels like it has a very nice pace and jaunt to it. And the story, while simple, has I think a nice pace to it at the very least. And being
I can agree there.
And being like going through it as quickly as possible. It does kind of feel like you're reading like a short story, and you see like these setups and payoffs to like different characters, and it kind of feels like you're like sort of like playing like say like a 40-page like picture book, if you will. And not like a novel. It's not like The Witcher 3 or something, but it has it's a very like simple, contained, short story, and I personally find it engaging. And I will say also, like with the exception of like the main character who's just a silent protagonist, I think it does a good job of giving characterization to each of the characters in like a very short amount of time. Like for instance, one of my favorite little details is two of the main antagonists is Misery and Balrog, and they're like, and what exactly their relationship?
Toaster Man,
Toaster Man, or Kleenex Man. What exactly their relationship is kind of vague, but at one point you talk to Misery's mother, the lady you give the dogs to, and she's and Balrog's like, yeah, we got like a new master, we're going to take over the world, and the old lady's like, oh really, you guys are at it again. Like that implies that they're like childhood friends, and their hobby is just trying to like get off the island and finding new masters and trying to take over the world. And I think I find little like character moments like that charming, or like how with Curly Brace, the first time you meet her and she's and you're talking to her and she's like, oh, I guess you're gonna have to kill us, and you're like, it's like, are you after the Amiga? Are you gonna kill them too? And you're just like, no. And she's like, oh, okay. Hey, you want to trade guns? I think it does a good job with like little moments like that, or like with Sue, and she's like, oh, did you rescue me? And regardless of like if you say yes or no, she gets mad at you. So yeah.
Oh really?
There's also some nice like gray morality to some of the characters I like. For instance, like with like King and his like Mamiga friend, I forget his name, but like how they're like, yeah, we need to like cage up Sue and like give her to the doctor so we can get Toriko back. It's like you can't, you know that these characters aren't evil, and you understand their motivations, but they're also kind of morally gray at the same time. They're not like they're willing to sacrifice somebody for to get their friend back. I appreciate stuff like that, and this is in a 16-bit game. Like, you don't see this kind of like level of characterization normally, and I assume that was like very inspirational to other indie developers who were they have a very like limited amount of resources to actually tell a story, so you really have to squeeze the most characterization you can into these like small little bits, and a case story proves that you can do that to some extent. I also love like how unironically like dark this game can get, despite like its kind of cutesy art style and like upbeat like soundtrack. Like the part where Toriko gets like force fed those red flowers and you're like forced to kill her, like that's fucked up, man. Like, you have to like kill these,
I remember getting to that part and I was like, oh wait, they're straight up dead.
Yeah.
Oh.
And like Balrog, he's like this like comic relief character, but he's like so like just down to like make her like force her to eat those flowers, and like I think it does a good job, honestly, of like that's what I meant. Like I messaged Elias like after after the first couple days he started playing it. It's like, yeah, I think shit starts going down in like the third level. It's like that scene is really messed up, and then like right afterwards you're like fighting like the core of the island with Curly next to you, and that's really like pretty intense boss fight. Like that thing is huge, and you had been fighting like smaller enemies up until that point, and it's like reincorporated into the final boss, and so it's like that's setting up like what the final boss is going to be like, and that final boss gauntlet, it's just it's a pretty epic like final boss, to be honest. It's huge. It's pretty hard, especially on your first playthrough. Also, this is the first time I've done this, but there's the best weapon in the game called the Spur, and how you get that is the initial gun that you get, the Polar Star. If you guys remember, like you get it from like this sleeping guy at the very beginning of the game. If you go back later in the game after the fight with the core, and you give him that gun back, he upgrades it to the spur. The spur is the spur is unaffected by the leveling system, and it's like a charged weapon. And boy, it is a lot of fun to use. It makes a lot of like the later fights and areas like way funner just by using it. That in addition to like the upgraded jetpack, like the movement is fantastic at that point. And the final like bosses, like while they're a lot easier, it feels like you earned it because you went so long with like such underpowered weapons. And this is also the first time I tried to do the true ending, and you're right, the final like level is like definitely like the most difficult part in terms of like pure platforming and the amount of enemies that they throw at you. But if you have like the fully powered like weapon and the fully powered jetpack, it's a lot of fun to like cruise around and just like eliminate like these like 40 plus enemies at once, and you're just constantly like collecting like pickups and health and stuff like that as you're like zipping around on this jetpack, and then you fight like these huge bosses at the end, and they're even like bigger and better than the normal ending final boss. I feel like I've been like seeing this game's praises pretty hard. I agree with you guys that like it's not a great first like retro platformer like with the slippery controls. And I can kind of get Elias's take on like the music and like how like not each one like necessarily feeds into the like each individual level. Like it all kind of like sounds like same genre basically, and I can definitely see the merit in that argument. And yeah, like in the fetch quest stuff, that can, if you don't know what you're doing, that can certainly be pretty annoying. Like, especially, it sounds like all of you guys basically got stuck in like that initial village for longer than you should have.
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't. I was able to just looked in each like corner and found exits and stuff. So I didn't have too much of an issue with it. The last K was my issue.
Yeah. So mine is
the exact opposite.
So yeah. Yeah, and I guess this game just has like extremely different like it just feels extremely different to like each player. Like we all like had a different experience. And
I was gonna say,
yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest like merit to this game I can give. Now that I've seen that we've all had like a very, very different experience, that's pretty cool. I'll give it that. Like the fact that we each got something really different playthrough wise, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, but especially for such an old game developed by one dude, like that's insane.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of pathways to make.
Yeah, if you guys ever want to play this again, I don't think you will, but I would try and recommend going for like the best weapon and the best jetpack and stuff like that. Because
I realized afterwards I missed out on the best weapon because I kept the polar star. I just forgot to go get the thing back, and then I was like, "Oh crap, the game's over!" I'm like, oh, dang it.
Yeah, well darn. But yeah, and knowing like where to go, I think that does make the game quite a bit funner. I'd also recommend like switching back to the old visuals and the old soundtrack. You might enjoy those more. Yeah, but I totally get like a lot of the negative reactions. It's not your guys' cup of tea. I get that. But for me, it is very influential. I do this and Hollow Knight kind of cemented my my love for like cute visuals on top of like very dark atmosphere and dark story elements. I really love that aesthetic, and this game definitely is inspirational to me. And I've enjoyed it more each time I've played it. So, yeah, I guess that's my final thoughts on the game. I totally agree. It's not like my favorite indie game, not even close. You can definitely tell it's developed by one person. Like, I didn't even get into like how you get the super secret special ending. It's like, first of all, the dude, the doctor guy that like falls down the ravine, and he gives you the jetpack. You have to ignore him to get to if you don't talk to him, he survives, and then he shows up later and he gives you the better jetpack. So that implies that you killed him by talking to him. And so yeah, that's how you get the better jetpack, and you have to like refuse to get the machine gun to get the better weapon. And you have to do all of that, and you also have to rescue Curly Brace. Wait, by the way, Ben, on your playthrough, after you fight the core and she gives you like your her air bubble, you just had to like leave her there to die, right?
Yeah, because apparently I was supposed to grab like a rope or something, and I
there's
didn't.
a tow rope in that area, and then you can latch her to your back, and then you bring her to like this safe house, and then you can like drain her of water, and then later in the game, you find her again, and she doesn't have her memories, so you have to feed her a mushroom to get her memories back. Turns out the mushroom is a mini boss, so you're fighting this little mushroom that's jumping around.
What?
Yeah. I'm not joking. It's pretty hard, actually. It's a pretty hard boss. and then you feed her the mushroom, and she gets her memories back. Then she shows up in the final level, and she's on your back again, and you're both shooting all the enemies together. And yeah, it's pretty insane.
So that's how that happens.
This might be worth another playthrough. I might suffer through it again. Maybe I'll enjoy it more.
Maybe.
But we'll see.
Don't feel like overly obligated to do that, but
I'm just saying, like, that actually sounds kind of interesting. So I might have to give it a shot.
Yeah, it's an interesting game, and to anyone who's listening to this, you might have a vastly different experience than the rest of us, and I think that is kind of video games, like, in a nutshell, is like they're unique to each player's experiences, and so while it is definitely a mixed bag, it is about as video gamey as it gets. Each person has a different experience, and yeah, it's has a story that only a video game could really tell, and gameplay that is unique to it. So I think it's at the very least worth playing through. If you had the same experience as Ethan, you play for like a couple hours and you're just had it, like that's valid, and like put it down. But hey, it's different for every person, and I think that's worth something.
Yeah, I certainly don't regret giving it a shot and everything. Yes, I do exist. I am here. I'm alive.
I heard a sigh out of it. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Ethan. We've been talking for a while.
No, there's background noise going in the background and everything. My cat ran into my sister's bedroom and heard her kind of... I was like, crap. And I had to quickly pull up Audacity and, silence my microphone. So not have too much editing on yet. But... yeah, no, we're cool. So I guess we're running really low on time, which is great since we've kind of wrapped up all the discussion here. This for a game recommendation, this pulls back to me. We've done a full loop at this point.
Pretty cool,
and
honestly.
For me, I recommend one of my favorite games of the past console generation. I forgot to totally put it on the list, and I regret doing so because I love it so much. It is a first-person shooter / RPG type game. It's a genre called immersive sim, where it's a sort of do what you want, where you want, very open-ended in terms of your exploration and how to handle situations.
Definitely is.
And it takes inspiration of games such as System Shock 2, BioShock. Think of like the gameplay of BioShock with the aesthetics and mind-bending insanity of System Shock 2, and you get Prey 2017, developed by Arcane, which are the same people who made Dishonored, and published by Bethesda. It's currently on sale through the Steam Winter Sale for like $8, which is an amazing price for it. And you can also nab it. It's not on sale on PlayStation, but it's on sale on Xbox for around the same price. Of course, I know Andrew probably can't nab that PC version. I don't think that would run with his hardware and the like, which is totally understandable. But obviously, I recommend the PC version more, mainly just because of the higher frame rate. You can hit a 60 FPS in Prey versus the 30 cap on consoles, but nevertheless, it's still playable, and I love it to death. If you really want something to get lost and explore and to really like use your brain to come up with like really unique ways to solve complex or even simple problems, this is definitely the kind of game for you. So what I'm going to say is that this is a longer game. Your first playthrough might take around maybe 15 to 20 hours at most. So we will on the next episode that we will just do an off-topic discussion. We'll come up with another topic or something, not necessarily a game, but maybe a subject to discuss, similar to the achievements discussion we had a little while ago, and mildly spicy takes. Just so that we can give people time and able to finish the game, because even then, I do recommend a second playthrough. Although obviously not required. The second playthrough is so wildly different than the first. It's actually quite beautiful, because I ran the game back to back when I first played it, and my second playthrough was about maybe 5 hours long, and it's nuts what you can do. So yeah, hope you guys love it. It's got some spooky type elements in it. It's not objectively a horror game, but it does have some spooky stuff. It's nothing.
I will say, I'm doing fine. I suck at horror games, so it should be.
Yeah,
okay.
It's not too bad. There's like one major kind of like scary moment that kind of happens in the game, but it's like about midway through, and other than that, that's really it. It's really tame for the most part. As soon as you hit the gardens, things can get, a situation happens that's a bit spooky. But after that, it's pretty tame. I'm curious.
I like that idea. I'm into spooky games, so yeah.
Yeah, it's not, again, like, don't treat it as a horror game, because not really. It's got, like, horror elements, but it's not, it's not Amnesia or Outlast or something like that. No, this is very tame in comparison. So, I'm really excited to play Prey again, because I love it to death. One of my favorite games. But anyway, we will return back with a discussion on that at a later time. For now, this was our discussion on Cave Story / Cave Story Plus. This is the part of the episode where we plug our bullshit, and I'm just don't care really to do that anymore. I just say all my links are in the description of the podcast. Oh. Just go there.
Okay.
And I need links from the rest of you. I keep bothering you guys to get links, and no one gives me anything. Elias gave me a SoundCloud, and I already have a SoundCloud, so... So, yeah. Elias has his SoundCloud. He just ran to the restroom, so... you can find his SoundCloud in the description of the podcast, as well as the profile that the podcast runs on. Ben, plug away.
You can find me on Letterboxd and Backlogged at Thunderfellow. I sometimes review movies and sometimes review games.
Andrew.
You can find me at artstation.com/Andrew Langston. If you want to commission me, send me an email at andrewlangstonart@gmail.com. And yeah, I'm a cartoonist, so send me cartoonist commissions.
Woohoo! Well, that does it. Was a mighty fine discussion with the lads again today. I look forward to seeing how you guys feel about Prey. Nab that as soon as you can if you want to get that nice sale price. Normally it's only $20 around though, so it's really not that expensive. So
I just bought it. So
yeah. Yeah. Nobody bought it. Nobody played it. So it failed miserably financially, but it's really underrated, and that's why I champion it so hard. But I totally get it if it's not your thing. I would totally understand. But I'm pretty sure at least you, Ben, will at least you and Elias will really, really like it. I'm really interested on Andrew's opinion.
Yeah, I'm just not an FPS person, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, don't. It's not like Call of Duty. It's not like a Call of Duty game. It's nowhere near like point, shoot, run, slide, bang, bang, wall jump, that nonsense. No, it's far more slow and methodical. It's a thinking man's shooty bang bang game.
Interesting.
In fact, you can even play the whole game without shooting a gun if you honestly want to. So.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, I'll leave it up to you. I wanted to do this because everyone's playthroughs can be so dramatically different. That's why I wanted to do this. So, yeah.
Okay.
We'll return back on that, and yeah. Anyway, y'all have a good rest of your day. Good week. Stay safe. Stay happy. Stay healthy.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated, boys. What's up, Water Gang? Up in yeah.
Oh, let's do it.
I just spilled water on me.
Okay, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.